V-Dog says, if Ivy were to have babies, what would that look like? Would she double in size, and would you leave the babies in with her?
So she will definitely increase her size when she's gravid, but she's not going to double. She'll get thicker for sure, get pretty full. And then, they're live young, so we would take them out as soon as we found them.
Yeah, because they would be crawling all over the place.
Yeah, and it just wouldn't be good for the babies to be in the cages. So she'd probably have anywhere from like 20 to 25 babies. They're pretty big babies, and they would be all over the enclosure, and that would be one hell of a video going on a baby anaconda hunt, and that enclosure is going to be really fun, and it's going to be really exciting. And that's probably the thing that I'd like to breed her for more than anything is that
experience.
I bred yellow anacondas for a number of years, never bred green anacondas, and to have Aries and Ivies, which are so special to me anyways, would be pretty awesome.
Creme de la Clutch says, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
Most of us are conditioned in life to love making money and not the process that takes us there.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to love your job. That's why you get paid to do it. It's the worst, or is the worst advice ever. Much love.
No, I agree with you 100%. They always talk about, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And I think that's the same thing. I always tell people that money is two things. Number one, it's a barometer to success, right? And it's a shame that that's a barometer to success, because I think that that's a very skewed barometer, right? People look at, like, so you could say, let's say, a pro surfer, but not one of the top guys, a guy that's making 50 grand a year, barely paying his bills. Right. But traveling around the world surfing, you could say that guy has success beyond anybody.
Yep.
Whereas society will look at him and go, well, yeah, but he has no money in the bank. He's got no savings, no retirement, but he's a wealth of success
and
experiences and journeys.
And in his career path he's at the top,
right.
He's not the
and that's just an example, because the reason I used him is because the top guys probably do make millions, through sponsorships and stuff like that, or at least hundreds of thousands, if maybe not millions. I don't know what the surf world is like.
Yeah, depending, I would assume I'm like Kelly Slater. I'm sure made millions.
Yeah,
of dollars.
I'm sure some do, but my point is that so money, unfortunately, is a barometer to success in society, which again I'm not a fan of. And the only other thing that money does is it allows you freedom, right? Money is freedom. And what I mean by that is the freedom to do whatever you want to do. Yep. If you want to get on a plane and fly to Jamaica, post-COVID, you just
for
get
a day,
on a plane. You do whatever you want to do, right? Yeah. Or whatever the case is. Beyond that, I could give a rat's ass about money at all, period. It doesn't motivate me. It doesn't do anything for me. Like you said, if you're not totally enthralled with the journey of what you're doing to try to make that money, then you shouldn't be doing it, because you never get, maybe it's just me, but like I've never been like able to understand someone that's like a crotchety old fuck that is super rich, and like, ooh, I've made all this money in my life. It's like,
and I'm just sitting here rotting.
Yeah, like, okay, so what? What did that do for you? Like, what? So what? Again, I know Jay's heard me say the saying. It says, a man spends his life creating wealth, and then spends his later years spending his wealth to contain his health. Yep. And that to me is sad. Because we're all going to get old. We're all going to be,
paying Medicare with all your money. Yeah.
And
they drain your
money
ass.
Didn't do anything for anybody. But if you spent that 40, 50 years that it took you to create that wealth, but you were enjoying every minute of it, or most minutes of that, or achieving things that you really wanted to achieve, the money is a byproduct. It's a byproduct of success. And that's why I'm looking at the Reptarium expansion and saying that there's a good chance I'm going to spend, most of my money, if not all of my money, on expanding, and then I'm going to be broke again, or close to it. I'll still have assets outside, but you know what I'm saying. It's like the liquidity side of my life will be gone, but I'll have achieved that dream of creating something that I really wanted to create. And that walk that I've talked about, walking through the new place, is worth it to me. It's worth it for me to see zeros in my bank account, but be able to see my dream fulfilled.
100%. Yeah. Rhonda came back and says, it's convenient that all the new big movies are streaming. It's much easier for me to fit a movie in my schedule with no travel to the big screen.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that I hope that the big screen isn't gone forever.
I agree.
Because I think there's a very romantic thing about the movies, right? You know, it's the smell of popcorn, it's the walking into the theater, it's the sitting down, it's
going somewhere too, you know?
You know, it's interesting. I used to say this and people didn't understand it, and maybe people still don't understand it. But like, to me, and I've never told you this, Jay, so you'll think I'm freaking out of my mind by saying this. But to me, if I'm watching a movie on, let's say, HBO, while it's airing, knowing that hundreds of other thousands of people are watching that movie at the same time with me, it feels like a better experience than me popping it on digital, you know, like demand or something like that. Yeah. And knowing that I'm the only one watching it at this particular time. You know?
I understand that.
And there's something that's cool about that. And so I miss the days, just so you know, like, that is my guilty pleasure, is movies. I still watch movies. It's still my guilty pleasure. But going to the theater was my favorite thing I did. And it was the only time. So I used to go probably when I wasn't traveling or wasn't super, super busy. At least once a week I would go to the theater. Mm-hmm. And that was like the only 2 hours or 2.5 hours of my entire week that I could completely mentally live in the moment and shut everything off. As soon as I sat down in that thing and I had my popcorn and I had my drink next to me, my slushie next to me, and that movie would, you know, pop on the screen, it was just all of a sudden like instant bliss, you know? Yeah. And that was something I will say, like, when COVID hit,
it was one of the things.
That was one of the things I was the most upset about, was the fact that I couldn't go to the movies. Weirdly enough, since the movie theaters are back open, which has been a month and a half or
something like that, yeah.
I have not been. I haven't been to the movies. I haven't been to the movies since really probably December of 2019, because 2020, before COVID, we were just too busy building the Reptarium, and didn't have any time. And then, of course, it was shut down until just recently here in Michigan. But now it's different too, you know, because we were actually going to rent a theater, the whole theater. It's only like $100 or $200 or something like that. And but you had to wear masks while you're watching, and you were going to be in your own theater. You're like only your crew, crew that we don't wear masks around each other every day. So like we're not.
We're all in our own bubble, yeah.
So but still, even that feels different. Like going in and being socially distanced. I'm not a real necessarily a guy that wants to be right on top of everybody.
But I want to be able to if I wanted to.
With the movies, that's part of the thing. Going into a sold, premiere weekend where every single seat is taken, and
it's almost like a concert.
Yeah, there's something pretty cool about it, and I miss it. And I hope that the new way of releasing digital movies. Don't get me wrong, I love HBO Max, and I love the fact that we're able to see these movies without going to the theater. That's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah,
it's more convenient for me, no doubt about it. But I hope that.
It'll never fully go away, because drive-ins are still around. You know what I mean? Even though that's something that people don't do as much.
But I hope it's not the same thing where there's 5 drive-ins in all of Michigan. Yeah, now there's 5 theaters. Whereas, pre-COVID, there was, 10 theaters within 20 miles of my house.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
And we had our little theater that we went to all the time. That was like our theater, It's like, it's our favorite theater, So I hope it comes back.
Roberta says, you going to sell any babies from Nova when you get more? I would love one.
I hope so. I hope we will.
As long as we get a good banger year.
Yeah, as long as we have a year like we did the year before.
They're back together now. I seen them courting today.
Yep.
We were talking to the lady that was kind of afraid of snakes, that she came here. I see them in the corner, bobbing heads and stuff like that. So
I think we'll get some. Yeah, and hopefully we'll sell some.
Tom says, hey, Brian and Jay, finally made my first live podcast.
Nice.
You have inspired me to pursue my degree in zoology. Congrats on 3 mil and keep up the amazing work.
Well, thanks, Tom. I appreciate it, and congrats on your mission to become a zoologist. Keep passionate, study hard, and make connections. That's the big thing about that world, right? It's not so much about the degree, it's about the connections you make, because the zoo world is a pretty small world, and it's really important.
Tight-knit.
Yeah, it's important to really know people to be able to get in.
Yo, what's up, people? If you enjoyed this clip in particular, you can watch the full episode right here. If you want to just watch some other clips of our randomness in this checking in universe, right there. Bingo bango, click that shit right there. Subscribe right here to the Checking In Clips. and right here for just the podcast channel. We love you and your support so much. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.